Good evening and welcome to my channel Centuries Untold. Viewers, today's video is a very different topic that I picked for my viewers today. Normally, I talk about a lot of historical events, topics. This is a somewhat historical topic, but on a different length. Okay? It's going to be pretty short video that some of my viewers have been asking me in the recent months that I should make a video on this. So it's going to be a quick 20-25 minutes video. I hope you will enjoy my video, and please, if you do like my video, please hit the bell icon and subscribe to my channel so you can get more video notifications. All right, let's go ahead and start. So today's topic is on this famous, I would say infamous, Vlad Dracula, also known as Dracula. Okay. So who was this Dracula? Now, this I'm going to try to separate the reality, the fact, the historical Dracula versus a myth, a Hollywood version of Dracula. There's a big difference between these two characters. Okay, so let's talk about this guy named Dracula. So who was this person, Dracula? Like I said, most people, at least in United States and other part of the world, when the name comes Dracula, they think about this guy with long teeth, dead guy who rises from his grave at night, who hunt people, suck people's blood at night, and who is basically a vampire who does not die for some reason. Okay, so but was he really that? Is that the fact? Is that true? Was he this person that we call Dracula? Is he like that? Okay, so let me begin with this thing. Let me begin saying this. The Dracula, a Dracul in some cases, that you have seen, that you have heard, that you have read, is way different, totally different what you have seen in the movies. Okay, so I'm going to come to that on the Hollywood version of Dracula in a second. But let's talk about who this person was, where he was from, and what did he do in his lifetime. Okay, so this person, Dracula, his name was Vlad the Third, and his household was called the Order of Dragon or Order of Dracula. Okay, and this Vlad the Third, which is, by the way, also later on he was also known as the Impaler, Tespes, in the Romanian language called Tespes, Vlad the Tespes, meaning the Impaler, and I will talk about that a little bit in a second. So this person, this Vlad the Third, from the house of Dracula, was born in year 1431. Okay, in the present day, in the modern day country of, in my back you can see that, Romania, that northern part of Romania. At that time, it was part of that region where he was born, or his father was the chief of that area, was called Wallachia. Okay, Wallachia, you can see in the back in the map, Wallachia. Okay, which is part of Romania in modern day. So he was born in Wallachia in the year 1431. Okay, his father, Vlad II, was what you call it, a local nobility, local head of that region. Okay, so he was born there, and he had a few other brothers. Okay, I will talk about that in a second. So he was raised, I mean, he was born in that household, in that area in 1431. Now, just to give you a little broader prospect of that region in Eastern Europe, basically, Balkan, right? That's what it's called. And what was going on when he was born in that part of the world at that time. You need to understand a little bit bigger picture, okay? So we are talking about 15th century, 1430, okay? Viewers, this was the time when the Ottoman Empire basically was on full march, full swing, okay? As you can see in the map, the Ottoman Empire in the back, right? So Ottoman Empire, as most of you know, or at least have heard, was a Turkish empire, Turkish Muslim Islamic empire, okay? Who had been basically since previous century, from 1300, was literally defeating one army, the other army, another army, another army. And they were completely on the rise. Not just on the Eastern European front, but also Western Asia and other parts of that region as well. But their main focus was not Syria, not Iraq, not Palestine, not Egypt, which, by the way, they did take over later on, eventually, but not at that time, not in 1400s, okay? Their main focus was Eastern Europe, okay, at that time. And they were very successful in that. So by the time 1431 came, by the time when Dracula, Vlad III was born, the Ottoman Empire was already on Eastern Europe. They had already pretty much captured surrounding areas, including Romania, by the way, Bulgaria, but definitely large chunk of Greece. The city of Constantinople had not fallen yet. It will take another 23 years. And eventually it also fell in 1453, as most of you know that, right? But so this was a situation where literally the major power in that Balkan at that point, undisputed major power, was the Ottomans. That means anybody who lived in that time period, in that part of the world, would have to deal with Ottoman Empire, either directly fighting with them or become their vassals and pay tax to them and accept them as their overlord, which a lot of countries did. Okay? The Ottoman Sultan, which is basically, Sultan is meaning emperor, a king. Okay? It's the same thing. Okay? So this was a situation where when Vlad III was born. So naturally speaking, his father was basically, did fight with Ottoman armies and was defeated, and one battle he was killed, which was the normal out of order at that time. So Vlad III, Dracula I will call him, when he was in teenager, him and his other brother, he had a couple of other brothers, I think, I would say he had 2 or 3 half brothers as well, which was very common at that time. Okay? So he had one other notable brother, his name was Rado. But in history he's known as Rado, R-A-D-U, Rado, I think, R-A-D-U, the handsome, because he was a good looking handsome guy. So because his father was fighting the Ottoman Empire, he was defeated and he was forced basically to send these 2 sons of his, Dracula and his brother Radu, get where? To Ottoman court. Now, by the way, we are talking about 1453 now, which is basically where conquest of Constantinople was completed by the Ottoman. So the Ottoman now control that city as well. Now they, not only that, they had made it their capital. So now Constantinople was not under Byzantine. It was under Ottoman now, and that's what it will stay forever. Okay? So Dracula and his brother Radu, when they were teenagers, they were sent out as a hostage to Ottoman court as a guarantee that their father will not revolt against the Ottomans. Which was, by the way, it was a very a normal and traditional, acceptable practice during those days, all over the world, by the way, not just in that part, all over the world. The defeated king will send his son or sons as a hostage, as a guarantee that he will not revolt against that king. So that's what Vlad Dracula's father did. So Radu and Dracula. So let me just call, instead of calling him Vlad, from now on, let me just call him simply Dracula. Okay, so people understand what I'm talking about. So Dracula and his brother Radu will spend few years actually in Ottoman court, learning their ways, learning their environment, culture, everything. So it would happen like that his younger brother Radu will eventually decided that he will stay within the Ottomans. He will not give up that side. But Dracula, on the other hand, he somehow returned back to his Wallachia, his country or his homeland or his land, and he decided to basically start rising up against Ottomans. Okay? But his brother Radu did not. So you can see that how his family is twisted between loyalties. One brother's loyalty is with the Ottoman, and the other, Dracula, decided to fight both sides. Who was right at that time under the situation? It is historical debate, okay? But anyway, so focus is on Dracula, right? So Dracula basically at that point decided to seek help because, Wallachia is a small territory, Ottoman Empire is a big mighty empire, he could not fight them. So he looked west side to seek help. That means Hungary, the kingdom of Hungary. So he travels to Hungary and seek help from the king, from Stephen, from king of Hungary. That give me some army so I can go and fight Ottomans and I can control my area. The king of Hungary at that time was reluctant. If he given the aid to him, that means he risked an open war with Ottoman Empire, right? Which he was trying to avoid. So instead of giving him this a military aid that he was seeking, he used what you call it, like delaying tactics. He said, okay, we will talk about this next week. And Dracula ended up staying there for months and months. And he was still not giving anything. Eventually, King of Hungary decided, okay, I'm going to give you some help, but this help has to be discreet. You would not go and tell that King of Hungary gave me this army when you fight the Ottomans, right? But for you to do that, to make sure that you would not betray me, meaning the King of Hungary, you would need to marry somebody in my court, somebody's daughter in my court. So he proposed one of his courtier, right? He said that you need to marry his daughter. So Dracula was kind of stuck in a situation. He had no option. He said, okay, I will marry this woman. But you need to give me help. So under those conditions, he marries that woman from a Hungarian woman, basically, right? In order to get the help. So he gets the help. He goes back to Wallachia. And when he goes back to Wallachia, the situation has changed because he was absent for months and months. So situation in his own homeland was changed. Okay? The boyars is a term, you can call it the knights, the dukes, the courtiers of that day. They were called boyars, just like Russians boyars, right? Similarly. So when he saw that his own territory, Wallachia, was in chaos, complete chaos, how come he could fight the big, mighty Ottoman Empire? So he had to fix his house first. And viewers, that's where his reputation started to grow. That he's a cruel, he butchers people, and that this is where he started to earn this title, the Impaler, trespass. Okay? Meaning that one of his favorite method of executing people was not hanging, was not beheading, not thrown in fire at stake, not throwing on the high tower, but impale. And this was very painful, obviously. Impaling means, as you can see behind me, the pictures, that basically you take a big, huge spear and you put somebody's body, and put that spear on the ground like this, and let this person like hanging like this on the spear, and slowly he will die, just like the pictures behind me. That's the method he used. Very cruel method that he applied. He started to apply this method in his own people, the boys. So the story goes, he was sick and tired of all those conspiracy, loving boys who were conspirating against each other, blah, blah, blah. So he decided to get rid of all of them. There were like 50, 80 top dukes, knights, or boys, right? So he invites them to his palace for dinner. While they ate dinner in his palace as a guests, he tricked them, he closes the doors, and it was already pre-planned. So he called his soldiers, they come in, they just butcher them in front of Dracula. All of them, 60, 80, we don't know the numbers, but there were 50 to 100 high-ranking nobles were sitting for dinner. Done. They were all gone. So that's how he got rid of them. Not only that, but after they were dead, he impaled them outside his castle for other people to see that. So you can imagine 50, 80, 100 dead nobles impaled on the spear, hanging like this. That was the height of cruelty that he had. That's how he was known as Dracula, Vlad the Impaler. That's because that's what he did. He impaled people. He enjoyed that. Because he thought by giving these cruel punishments, that's the only way to control people. There's some other examples too of his cruelty. So anyway, he, after 1 year, he felt secured enough to fight Ottomans. But viewers, again, he had 10, 15, 20,000 soldiers. That's it. Small territory of Wallachia. Okay? So Ottoman king, Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II, who captured Constantinople, the news reaches also to him that this guy, Dracula, whose brother, by the way, was in Ottoman court, is causing a lot of trouble in that area because of his cruelty to the people, the way he was impaling, executing people. And his reputation reached to Sublime Port, which is the name of the Ottoman Empire, Ottoman court in Constantinople. So Ottoman Sultan dispatched an army to crush him. So I'm not going to go into those battles because that's a separate topic, right? So in 1 or 2 battles, Dracula was able to trick Ottoman army and into defeat. That's happened, but those armies were small armies. So don't confuse that Ottoman king, Ottoman Sultan was sending 100,000 large armies, and Dracula was able to defeat that large army with his 10,000 soldiers, with small Walachian territory. That was not the case. So keep that in mind. It is like this, okay? The Ottoman Empire would send a general with 10, 20,000 soldiers, or they will ask a local, close by commander in that area and ask them to go there and take care of this guy. That's how it was. Ottoman Sultan never came personally fighting with him. This is all myth. It's incorrect historically. Because he didn't need that. He didn't need it. Okay? So anyway, but eventually what happens, while there was a pause between some of those fights with Ottoman, guess what happened? His Hungarian, people, king, who gave him this sport, one of his general, Hungarian general, who was basically, by the way, if you are already aware of it, this famous Hungarian general, John Hunyadi, who was present during the conquest of Constantinople by Ottomans in 1453. He died, but his son, I think some say his name was also Hunyadi, attacked Wallachia and fought Dracula. So you can see that. It was not a one religion fighting a religion. No, it was not like that. It was politics. Dracula was fighting Ottoman, but then Hungarian people who were Catholics, I suppose, they also attacked him. And then he turned toward them, and now he was fighting them. So that's where his Dracula's life was. So it is also true in one of those small battles that he had with the Ottomans, his own brother Radu the Handsome led an army against his own brother Dracula, and they faced each other. In one of the battle, Radu was with a larger army with large, resources. He was able to subdue his own brother Dracula, but he let him go. He didn't kill him. So viewers, this is how this man, we know Dracula today, led his life. So he continued fighting like this, losing control of Wallachia, then come back. So that was his life. Fighting Hungarians sometime, mostly Ottomans, and also fighting his own brother, and killing, executing people, impaling people for very, very minor crimes, petty crimes. He will just impale them. Okay? So that's how this man led his life. And in 1475, I believe, he was killed. Some says he was killed. Some says he was wounded in a fight with Ottomans. Later on, he died. Okay? But that was the life of this man. So viewers, you can see there's nothing supernatural about him. Okay, so he was a historical figure. Yes, that's true. In 15th century, from the house of Dracula in Wallachia, which is modern day Romania. He was just a warlord in his time. That's it. With a reputation of impaling people for petty small crimes. Okay. So that's why he became notorious. Vlad the Impaler. Nothing more than that. Nothing supernatural. Nothing. Now, so that's the quick short about life story about this guy, Vlad the Impaler, known as Dracula. Right? Now, I'm going to quick move to next 5 minutes into the myth that developed. Where did this myth come from? So we have to go back to like 19th century, like in late 1800s. So this guy from Hollywood of England, Bram Stoker, which most of people have heard his name, who wrote a book about him where he fictionalized this guy. He picked this guy and he made him like, because he was known in his lifetime as this Dracula in his lifetime, Impaler, and he impaled people, blah, blah, blah. So he just, and his name sounded Dracula, like more like, fascinating. And from those Carpathian mountains in Eastern Europe. So this guy, Bram Stoker, basically, he fictionalized him. He picked this name and he picked his original life story and twisted it with this vampire. Oh, this guy, Dracula, he's a bloodthirsty vampire who made a pact with the Satan, and he's still alive. He never died, and he rises at night. And if you go out in the sunlight, his skin burns. That's where this fiction, supernatural Dracula icon emerges. Nothing before 19th century, late 19th century until. So once he wrote that about him, the Bram Stoker, then eventually, imagine that we are talking about like 1890s. Within 10, 15 years, the movie industry was born. So somebody from the Hollywood picked this story and make it a movie where they showed him, oh, this guy, Dracula, which is a historical character, and turned him into a vampire, basically, supernatural. And they made that mythology around him, but also took a historical events, historical name of him from Eastern Europe, from Romania. So they mixed that and made him a supernatural, what we know today. So as you know, there are so many movies made until now. A very recent movie I recently saw about him again, Dracula. And they're not stopping. Hollywood has not stopped. They have not ceased their fascination with Dracula. Every new movie they make a new twist. But the fundamental theme is the same, that this guy is a bloodthirsty. He hunts people at night. And they also try to make him some little bit more romanticized him in the movies too as well, right? So don't be confused with this. The movies that you see about Dracula has nothing to do with the original historical character of Dracula. Separate. The supernatural Dracula, the vampire, is Hollywood's brain and Bram Stoker's writing. Nothing to do with it. So I want you to understand two separate. Okay? This character is right, correct, existed. I just explained that whole thing. This character from Hollywood, incorrect. All fiction. Okay? So I hope my viewers, this short documentary on Dracula, Vlad the Impaler, would have given you a little bit more information about who was the real Dracula or Dracula versus the myth, the Hollywood version. Please give me your comments, and if you like my video, again, please hit the bell icon and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for watching my video. Thank you.